Hey everybody, welcome to Don't Make Me Come Back There. We are a funny podcast about family. My name is Dustin Nickerson. I'm a stand-up comedian and the host of the aforementioned podcast. And alongside me on the due south wall of our state-of-the-art podcast recruiting studio. Recruiting, what would recruiting be? Recruiting would be...
Recoiling?
Yeah, it's like a more finesse-based version of recruiting. It's a little softer. Recruiting is like heavy, and recruiting is more like we just
chill.
We lay out some pastries on a trail for you to follow. That's recruiting. Recruiting, it could also mean...
you could attract pests.
Yes.
Raccoons.
Yeah, all kinds of various little critters. You know, so there's pros and cons to recruiting. And our recording studio here / our bedroom is my lovely wife, the co-host of our podcast, you know, the co-author of the Nickerson family. You know.
Okay.
I wrote the book.
Uh-huh.
But, you know.
But it's about me.
But it is about you. That's true. You were. I mean, it's about us. It's about all of it. Anyways, thanks for tuning into our little podcast that could. Backseaters, welcome back. I hope you're well. Thanks for being a part of this podcast, and thanks for spreading the word. Things have been growing, and that's nice for us. You guys have been leaving some nice reviews online, which I appreciate. Those reviews on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you may listen is very helpful. Also, you guys have been leaving reviews on the book that is about Melissa, as she told you, called How to Be Married to Melissa, a hilarious guide to a happier one-of-a-kind marriage. And those are helpful as well because people go, oh, this is like a real book that
people read.
People read. This wasn't like this wasn't like a charity case. Like a real guy did this. Like Brooks said, it will come as no surprise, but Dustin's book is as impactful and refreshing as his comedy. You won't regret picking it up. Thanks. Alyssa, I know Alyssa. Alyssa's a fan and a backseater. 5 stars. Love Dustin and his comedy. As a backseater, it was fun hearing full stories and hearing Melissa's input too. Boom.
Thanks, Melissa.
And this one right here from Steph Carr. So I bought this at one of Dustin's comedy shows, and I don't regret it at all. It's exactly what the title implies. And since he's a comedian, it's also funny. He didn't pretend to have all the answers, but instead shares stories with what worked for them. Boom. Those are all ones that are done here in the new year. So thank you.
Thank you, readers.
Brooks did his on January 6th. Thanks for not storming the Capitol that day. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Brooks. And all you do. So reviews there. And you know what? Well, at the end of the day, you know, like people will come up at shows and when they send us emails, they're like, I send this podcast to people. That's how we're growing, baby. Spread the word.
Organic
growth. Be our brand ambassadors. We really appreciate that.
Maybe even evangelists.
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
Brand evangelists. So here's what we're doing today. Talk a little bit about St. Louis this last weekend, obviously. I want to talk a little bit about the kids being back in school. I got a funny story to tell you about how people just ask favors of me and you in public.
Yeah.
And then we'll get into the heavier discussions today. The meat of today's program is we're talking pets. We got a lot of pet stuff to discuss. We got some cat issues that we're here to chat about. And then we want to talk about some childhood theft. Not stealing someone's childhood, just theft in your own childhood.
Right.
So that's what we're here to discuss. I think we'll have some time for some couple emails at the end. But before we get going, Mel, we set the date for our upcoming Patreon.
Yeah, we did.
If you guys aren't familiar with Patreon is a way you can give a little more to the podcast and all things Dustin Nickerson comedy and get a little more. And that includes things like merch discounts and meet and greets at shows and all kinds of fun stuff like that. A cameo, all those things. And and then also we do a monthly Zoom hang where the patrons just hop on and we just chat. We had some new ones this last month. It's great. And we have set this month's for January 29th.
Sunday,
right?
January 29th. Yep. Probably 4 p.m. Pacific
4
time.
p.m. Pacific time. We'll have come from a wrestling tournament. We might smell like Jim.
Yep.
Maybe. I don't know. We have we got
some sports in limbo.
We've got some motivation issues, which is very common from, I'm talking about me.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not, to me,
absolutely.
The level of quality fan, it starts at patron, and then it's backseater, and then it's people who come to stand-up shows. Yeah. And then, I'm not saying better people, I'm just saying most committed fans. We go patron, backseater, buys a ticket to a show, book reader.
And reviewer.
Yeah, reviewers are reviewers are close to patrons. And then there's
the people that like and share on socials.
And then there's just the people that follow you. That's the lowest.
The trolls.
Well, no, they're not necessarily trolls.
No, but the lowest.
The lowest of the lowest.
Yeah.
I mean, those aren't
Right.
even real humans. You know, they're just goblins that live in sewers and have Wi-Fi somehow down there. That's all they could do is just like, oh, this will be my existence. I will eat rats and dine on the pain of
Creators.
YouTubers.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you for those of you who came out to the shows in St. Louis. I do have some upcoming comedy shows, and we're
ramping up.
We are ramping up, and the schedule's getting busy, and it's great. We have one kind of more warm-up show before the headlining tour, and that's next month in Denver. February 8th, Denver. That's a fun show because it's like a workout show and like it's not a part of the rest of the tour. You're a one-off, Denver, and I'm excited to be there. February 8th at Comedy Works. And then in May, everything kicks off, baby. We're going to be in Tulsa on May 18th, and then on the 21st in OKC, and Brea, California on the 23rd, and Omaha, Nebraska on the 25th. And then we're going to be in Des Moines, Iowa on May 26th and 27th. Boom. June 16th and 17th, San Diego. June 21st, Orlando. June 22nd, Tampa. This one just got added. July 1st, North Charleston, South Carolina. There we go. Yeah, I'm rounding some Carolina stuff because we're doing Charlotte and Raleigh, and those are getting added too. And I think maybe Asheville. It depends. Depends if they book me or not.
Nice.
July 12th, Liberty, Ohio, which is outside of Cincinnati, which you've been to. And July 13th, Columbus, Ohio. Or did you guys were Columbus? I forget.
We were in Clareton County or something like that.
What airport did you fly into? Was it Columbus or was it Cincinnati? You blanked out.
It was in the other state.
You flew into Cincinnati. I remember. That whole part of the country is very confusing to me.
It is.
Pretty much, I don't understand geography from like I get Colorado.
I was gonna say Colorado.
I get Colorado. I get Texas and Oklahoma, and I know how close all that stuff is. I know that. But once you get to like everything pretty much Iowa, Missouri, and like east of that, I don't know how far away anything is. I know nothing. It's so big, but then sometimes people will be like, yeah, Des Moines, Iowa and Chicago are 2 hours apart. And you're like, oh yeah, I don't know that.
I know.
In my mind, that was either 8 hours or 30 minutes. I don't know.
It's not in our everyday knowledge. And it's like when people go from Missouri to Nashville.
Right.
And you're like, oh.
Yeah, I was like, what was that, 2 days? And then like it was 4 hours. Oh.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just we haven't road tripped
I'm routing some Carolina ones right now, and you're like, oh, everything here is 2 to 4 hours apart.
Or it's like when people in DC go to New York.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, that's super close.
Yeah.
I mean, more or less, just
no, but
hours.
As a kid, you're like, what's that, a 4-day journey?
I know.
4-day via car?
I mean, I can tell you how long it takes to get from Seattle to San Diego.
Yeah,
via the car.
A day and a half.
Or Sacramento or San Francisco.
We don't know people, but I'm glad that you know. And I hope you can make it out to some of these shows. Cities that we're adding, LA, Chicago, Sacramento. There's a bunch. Tacoma, Milwaukee, Pittsburgh. It's all coming, baby.
Did you say it? You said Atlanta.
You know what I can do is I can, if you guys, here's a little Dustin's Comedy Corner. If you guys are interested in that. Pretty much I'm just going to be going to shows that, cities that, Minneapolis that I'm going to with Tay. I'll be back a little later. Chicago, Boston. We're so close, Boston. I've been trying to get to Boston forever. Carrie, I see you. You've been a good fan for a long time. You've been trying to get me to go to Boston. I've been trying. It's more complicated than that, but I'm trying. You know, we'll add some stuff. We'll add a Phoenix in there. I think we're going to do Greenville. Like I said, Raleigh. I'm not going back to follow up in the Europe dates with her, but San Diego, it's coming together, people. We're doing it. We're really doing it.
That's a lot of dates.
Yeah. Take that, agent. You could have had $200 on those shows. So yeah, that's it. Okay, so those of you who came out to St. Louis, it was very fun. It was very funny, unique. The whole weekend in St. Louis last weekend was hysterical because it was just so different. Because one, it was a reschedule. I was supposed to be in the fall. We rescheduled.
Okay.
We came back. We ended up adding a show, which is great. Sold out 2 shows. We added a 3rd show. I was nervous about that, and then it sold like 80-90%. So thank you everybody for coming out, St. Louis. I really like how. I mean, I was there there a year and a half ago, maybe.
Yeah.
And we sold like 60 tickets. And so it's fun to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, St. Louis. I'm very grateful for the
fans.
For you, the fans, and you guys coming. And this one was a unique trip because Gloria was with me. And then it was also a unique event because I was in the side room, which happens. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But T.I., yes, that T.I. was in the main room.
Right.
And so it was a rap concert crowd in the sense that you're like, these are not people who know stand-up comedy or know me or I wasn't on that show anyways. And it was such a funny contrast and fodder for every show that I was in. I joked that his entourage was bigger than my late show. It's so... Right. But I met him. I met him for a second. He was very nice and said some nice things. And his crew was nice. But I don't know him, and I don't know anything about his act. I don't know. I didn't watch. I would hear when he came on stage,
right?
Because that setup, you can hear each other's rooms, which is like kind of fun. And it's not fun in the sense you're like, that's distracting. And I have ADD, and I'm easily distracted anyways. But it is fun in the sense that you're like, hey man, everything's kind of hustling and bustling.
You're both performing.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot going on here. It's kind of like Vegas when you're like, show there, show there, show there.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. How many seats does that main room have?
Like 250 probably. Yeah.
Nice. And did he have 4 sold out shows?
5 or 6, I think. Yeah. Wow. I mean, but that's the smallest venue he's ever played.
Sure.
He's T.I.
Yeah.
He's a massive music star. And now he does stand up. And I made that joke. I mean, this only happens in entertainment, that someone who has nothing to do with your field is suddenly at the top of your field.
Because they have fans.
Exactly.
And fame.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's like when Madonna did comedy.
Did a late night set.
Yeah.
That's what I said. There's no equivalent of like you try your whole life to be a CPA and they're like, oh, sorry, Drake wants to be an accountant now.
Right.
Back to the side room where you belong. So it was great. And St. Louis, you are lovely folk, and I like your city. And Gloria and I had a good time. We need to put like some words to it, maybe like how to have a good time with kids in this city. In that city.
Yeah.
That's it. How to have a good time with your family in St. Louis. This is it. We did it in Vegas last week. How to have a good time in St. Louis with your kids. The Arch is fun. The Arch is fine. The Arch is...
You do it once?
You'll never do it again, unless you're doing it with a new group of people.
Yeah.
The Arch looks cool in the sense that you're like, oh, there's the Arch.
It's big.
It's big.
Yeah.
I'd never done the elevator, and the elevator is terrifying. It's not like...
You said it's 4 people in a box.
It's 4 people in a tiny little box. It looks like in those old sci-fi shows when there would be like an escape pod that you just have to like go get in as the...
or like an emergency elevator.
Yeah, it feels... That's exactly what it is. You know when every once in a while when like... I don't know if you ever did this, but like... Have you ever seen into the elevator shaft or like your door opened or something
terrifying.
like that? That's what it looked like. And it's not fun. And you're like, is this it? And then you have like this tiny window, but you don't see anything. You just see the inside of the arch, which is not nice. The outside of the arch.
No, they don't decorate the inside.
No, they could.
Like,
yeah.
It's the inner workings.
It's the inner workings of the arch. But then you get up there and it actually is pretty cool. And the view is very unique. And it's just crazy that you're on an arch. Like you're not on a flat surface when you get up there.
And Gloria liked it?
Gloria did like it.
Was she nervous?
She was not nervous. No, we did talk about how you would have not liked it.
Right.
You know.
I can do heights. I just have to like kind of zone out.
You got to disassociate, right? You got to just
like, pretty much. And also I have to know that the kids are like restrained or contained. Right. Or I literally cannot watch them. I have to be like, hey, you're going to make sure the kids are all safe because I can't.
And I'm like, maybe.
I don't know why that plan works better for me.
Hey, whatever it takes.
Because you think like, help.
Well, you discovered
2 sets of hands.
Yeah.
But at this point, I have to trust their instincts of safety, and then I just can't look. Yeah. Right.
A lot of the time when we're in those environments and you're scared, I'm always like, there's a toddler right there. We're okay.
I know. Well, some of it is rational instinct. And some of it is irrational because when some of your kids have like impulse control, you're like,
and by kids, you mean your husband.
I've been scared way too much.
Right. Right. I don't know that
fuse is like burnt out.
Yeah, I think it's very instinctual to be that way, and that's not a bad instinct at all. That you're like, Everyone I know, it's like when we were stuck at that roller coaster, which you were actually pretty chill about that one.
I've been stuck on roller coasters before, like as a kid. And I think I was just like, I got to wait it out.
Right.
You know, like if it had been an hour, I would start panicking.
You're saying you were worried because you didn't have any control, or you weren't worried because you didn't have any control.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Melissa, what did you say? Why was it that you want control so much? Melissa, what?
Who doesn't, Dustin?
Why do you look at situations and desire to control them?
Where
do you think that comes from?
If I was a word of the year person, I could say surrender. But I'm not the word of the year person.
Oh, word of the year.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's what people do a theme for the year. Get a life.
They love it. It's like a guidepost.
Okay, I got 3 words for you. Get a life.
Grow up.
If you're doing a word of the year, here are my words for you. Grow up.
But if in this fake counseling session, but what if I told you my word was surrender?
Oh, gosh. Then I'm going to surrender you from this podcast. Listen, do whatever it takes to motivate you, but a word of the year? I mean...
Well, they're all the same. Peace, joy, hope, love, tranquility.
Oh, my God. A word of the year.
What if your word of the year was like restlessness?
Here's my word of the year, anxiety. It's been my same word for 38 years.
Equanimity would be mine, but who wants to be calm?
Equanimity? Yeah.
Like stable.
Yeah.
Emotionally stable.
Let me ask you this. What was your word of the year in 2020? It didn't work. Whatever it was, unless it was pandemic.
Yeah. No.
I think that's so funny. I again, do what you want. It's hard to find motivation. If it helps, I'm all for you. But a word of the year, what is this? A community college poetry class? A word of the year? You're an adult.
This is a theme, like in a 5th grade writing prompt. You're like, where do you find refuge?
Yeah. Do we need to have a brainstorm? Did you do a brainstorming session for your word of the year?
Probably.
You're an adult.
I'm just not a word person.
I know you are a word person. You host a podcast. You are a word person. I don't know. I just don't ruminate
over language.
Do you think no, Melissa, do you think that the word of the year people are obsessed with language? No, they're obsessed with themselves. That's not about their love of language. Like, okay, let me ask you this. Hey, word of the year people, I challenge you to have a word of the year, but not post about it. How about that? Here's my word of the
It's like a Christmas card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your word of the year, your word of the year should be cringe. That's what it is. A few words of the year. Keep it to yourself. I don't need to know your word. Discretion. How about that? Word of the year.
I think if you can find it like in a Ross decor shelf, then that should not be your word of the year. Or maybe like a Hobby Lobby.
I'll allow Crate and Barrel. But if it's a Ross word of the year.
That's mostly just like dishes.
Yeah.
But
if you went in there, if you got your word of the year and some Adidas basketball shorts for $9.99. It's very funny. The word of the year. Okay, here's what we're here to talk about, guys.
Yeah, okay.
How to have a good time in St. Louis with your kids.
Yeah.
Hilarious. This is why I write this down. How to have a good time with your kids in St. Louis. Do the Arch. The Arch is pretty fun. The barbecue place, Sweet Sugar. I messed it up a million times. I'm going to look it up. I thought it would be like the first one. Sugar Fire Smokehouse is quite good. Oh, good. Very, very good. Mm-hmm. And I highly recommend that. St. Louis people, do message me the things to do in your city. Sometimes I do them. I don't always, but sometimes I do.
Yeah.
And when you message a coffee place, skip that because I know how to find that. But sometimes like things to do activities can be harder to find. People really recommended the City Museum, and it is awesome. The City Museum in St. Louis is incredible, and I had a hard time describing it to you because it's weird, and that's kind of its thing. Like I'll pull up some pictures here. It's just kind of, it's
wild.
It is. It's like a lot of stuff.
It's like kids crawling in cages.
It is. It is kids crawling in.
I've seen this before.
You've seen people post about it.
Yeah, and it's outdoors.
It's partially outdoors. Wow. It's partially indoors.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it looks like an antique.
Yeah.
Just like old stuff.
It's some weird white people stuff. And
like little bridges that connect planes and buses.
Yeah, and they'll just be like, here's an old schoolroom for some reason.
See, and that industrial grasshopper there, they have one of those at the Fremont Container Park in Vegas.
Right.
So
it's a lot of cool, weird stuff. And like that.
It's like a hamster tunnel.
Yeah, and scenario. And then there's like this like old skate park that you can like run up for a while. It's very fun.
That's awesome.
My 13-year-old, they have a circus in the middle of it for some reason. Like an actual performers, dancer, circus. It's great. It's weird. Amazing. I'm into it. It's something different. And I would recommend it.
Gloria was like, this is like a kid's museum.
Why are we doing this? Because she kept going, like, we got there. And Gloria was on this trip, and that was super fun. It's solo trips with your kids are great. And she was, we got there, and it was like classic teenager. She was like, Claire would love this. That was like her, like, kind of half enjoying it. Like, Claire would love this. This seems like a little kid. And I kept being like, Gloria, there's adults here by themselves. There's like, this isn't some kids museum or like it's not.
Yeah, it's like 5 and under.
There's not a puppet part of this. It's not young kids. There's like teens that just come hang out here. And then within like 10 minutes, she'd be like, hurry up, Dad. Like I was like falling behind. And she's like, you can fit in here. There's a lot of tight spaces. There are a lot of spaces as an adult. You're like, whoa.
Yeah, and then she was like, you didn't fit in most of them.
I know. She's so mean sometimes. We got a real sassy 13-year-old, but I think that might just be how they come.
Part of the course.
Yeah. She's real mean. She's like, she was like, it was funny because she'd be like, you can fit in there, and then I would, and then after she's like, you barely fit in any of those places. I was like, wow. I mean, I didn't see a lot of other dads in these cages, and I'm not like, I'm young dad, but not like young dad. Like I used to be 20s dad. Now I'm sneaking up on 40s dad.
Yeah.
So I'll get in this cage, but I'm not going to move up that pipe quickly.
Right.
You know how bad this hurts my knees? At one point, she was like, you should come here, but it like hurts my knees. She said that. I was like, well, then my knees will die. My knees will explode.
Yeah.
A metal bar on like the front part of your knee? No. I'll burn the place down.
You bring knee pads.
Yeah. Hey, I've got these from my rollerblading years. They still smell pretty bad. So yeah, I would recommend that. And, St. Louis is a big city. There's enough to do. We went to some cool areas. We did some vintage shopping. It's great. We had a good time. I think that you could kill. This would be a fun element of this. Remind me to do this when we take our kids places on how to have fun in this city with your kids. I can tell you how many days you can have fun with your kids in that city. Yeah. I think you can have fun with your kids in Vegas for a week. I wouldn't recommend going for a week, but you can. And I think you can have fun with your kids in St. Louis for 2 days. I think there's 2 days of activities. Oh, you know what? Actually, maybe a third day because they do have a theme park.
Oh, okay.
I think it's closed right now, but I think they have like a Six Flags or Busch Gardens.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's all. So there you go. St. Louis, baby. 1 hour from Denver, 2 hours from New York.
Exactly. And you also did a cat cafe.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you brought up the cats because that's a nice segue. We are having cat problems. We have 2 cats, Fritter and Donut. Fritter we got at middle-aged, and he was Peep.
He was a charity case.
Yeah. And he's been a good cat, and he's a weird cat. He eats plastic bags. He wants to eat off the table. He eats anything, honestly.
Yeah.
And he's aging, and he's doing the things that aging cats do. That happens. And then we have Donut. Donut Hole is his nickname because he was a kitten when we got him.
Right.
And he's about
sneaking up on middle age.
He's sneaking up on middle age, and maybe it was when we got the new floors. That's where you
see. I think. Yeah. I think the genesis was the floors this summer in June.
Because the house got thrown into shambles.
Well, and we didn't get like the night before the contractor was like, "We'll work around you guys. You don't have to move out," and then they moved all of our furniture outside,
and
all of it.
You're like, yes, we do.
And so we didn't have accommodations for the cats.
Right.
And then the flooring guys were like, we love cats. We'll feed them. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
And then like Donut really hasn't been fine since. And he just has attachment issues and anxiety.
So it seems, yeah. And it seems when we leave, he just pees everywhere.
Yeah. And so I was Googling it, right? And
do cats have attachment issues?
Dono was born under a shed, and when we adopted him, he would let us hold him for like 1 second.
Right.
You know, like, and he doesn't cuddle with Fritter. You know, they're both males. But yeah, it says your cats are stressed or anxious. Constant stress or anxiety can lead to your cat urinating in the house suddenly, as it is a way to express their current condition.
Yeah.
And then also it's been raining, and we had a neighbor. He's a neighbor teen changing the litter. Dawn was changing the litter, and they still just like peed on everything while we were in Vegas.
Yeah.
And they've continued, and we got the rug professionally cleaned.
I think we got an anxious cat, because I'm looking here. How do I know if my cat has anxiety or attachment issues? Here we go. Eating too fast or not eating at all. That's what he does. He eats crazy fast or not at all.
Yeah.
Excessive self-grooming.
Yeah.
Which he absolutely does. Elimination outside of the litter box.
Yeah, he doesn't use the litter box.
Yeah.
He goes outside, but now he's peeing in the house.
And that's not great, because we love our cats. We would like them to not pee on every single thing.
Everything. I just like go around and smell everything.
Right.
That in the rooms that aren't shut off from them.
And the old man, he's just he's aging, and so you're like, that kind of happens with cats, you know?
Yeah. He's old. Yeah.
Yeah.
My friend's cat had like kidney disease or something, and he got on like meds because he was peeing on stuff.
Right.
But I just don't know what to do, because I cannot do laundry like every day.
Yeah. Either you or the cat's going to have to go to therapy.
So you were saying,
therapist.
Yeah. What kind of treatments do you have for cats with anxiety?
Yeah. So
you were saying
cat meditation.
Cat yoga.
Cat yoga would be good.
Yeah. Some grounding
get plenty
activities.
Exercise. Yeah.
Your solution was we board them when we go on trips.
Right. I think that's a must.
The cost is worth it, because the whole house is like ruined.
Well, when you come home, you're supposed to be getting back from a vacation, and you're like, oh my, like we got home from Vegas and we cleaned for 3 hours.
Yeah, we got home
not
at
unloading.
2 a.m.
We cleaned.
2 a.m.
Yeah, we went to bed at like 4 or 5.
And then we had to clean, and just to like sleep.
Yeah.
Like feel comfortable. And then we had to take down all the Christmas decorations, indoor, outdoor.
Yeah.
We had all the laundry from a week in Vegas. We had all the Christmas gifts. And everything was just ruined.
Right.
All the bedding. It was just like.
And they don't tell you that when you're getting a kitten.
He was the cutest kitten.
He still is an incredible little cat.
He's a really cute cat.
But that's not what taking care of a cat is. That's not. You know what love is? True love is looking at someone or something and going, I will take care of you when you can't control your bowels.
Ooh. It's true. I'm not going to even laugh at that.
And that applies to a pet or a spouse. I'll be there for you.
Family member.
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I will be there for you when you can't make it to the bathroom, to the litter box. I'll be there for you when the litter box doesn't apply to your life anymore.
The thing is, Claire's birthday is in like 5 weeks. Mm-hmm. And she went to a pet store with a friend for her friend's birthday.
Right.
So she's trying to get
a turtle. She was set on a turtle.
She locked eyes with a turtle at Petco.
Okay, so this is where we need some. She locked eyes with.
She did. She told us the story.
I think that a turtle is the lamest pet, and I like turtles. I like turtles. Greatest YouTube video.
I like turtles at the zoo and the pet sanctuary.
Yeah, you're like, let me get this straight. They're stinky, which makes sense. But you know what?
I can't. It's like you need a cage thing, a heating light. You got to siphon the water out to clean it. Scrub the sides. For algae or whatever.
Well, that's one of the things to me. Like a turtle.
A tank. That's what's called a tank.
Turtles, like they so clearly don't belong in a home. No. I would say of all the pets.
They're like, hey, I'm water-based.
Yeah, none of them belong in a home, obviously. None of them belong in a home. They can be in a home, some adapted, but a turtle, you're like, what are you doing? A turtle doesn't belong here. A turtle doesn't want to be here. A turtle wants to be in the deep sea and
float around
and also kind of be land-based. It gets nothing out of it. The turtle gets nothing out of it because the turtle also does not care about some human connection in the same way that you can feel a dog and a cat connect to you. Turtles to me are like dinosaurs. They're so old.
Well, there's no emotions or attachments like cat or dog.
I like turtles, but I don't. Yeah, that's the one that I'm like, what? But a little kid can get caught up on any pet. So this is where we need some advice from the backseaters, because we are exploiting our child's desire for a pet, another pet, to see some maturity out of her. And we're like, well, I'll start doing these things and your homework every day, go to bed, and healthy habits, and and we're taking full advantage of that. And now we're like, what's the lowest impact pet that we can get? Because there's the fish. To me, the discussions are fish, turtle, which we've already ruled out, but fish, turtle, hamster, guinea pig. Those are the 4. Fish, turtle, hamster, guinea pig. Backseaters, chime in, because did you ever have a hamster, gerbil, guinea pig, any of those growing up? Ferret?
We just had cats.
You were all cat. Yeah. No fish, no nothing.
No.
Have I ever told you the Nickerson fish story?
You haven't.
So my dad is very handy, and
did he make a fish tank?
Well, we had what was very common in the Nickerson household is like my dad would like build a nice feature in the house.
Yeah.
Like you got the steam room later on. Like I don't know if you ever went in, but my dad built a full-on steam room because he does that. But it was kind of like our lake house where it'd be like, it's not like nice though. Like you would hear certain things and you're like, I thought Dustin said he grew up poor, and you're like, it's complicated. Where we were. But one thing that
you had a lake house.
My dad had built like this like water feature in our backyard. It was a small pond. Do you remember this? You might not have ever seen it.
In Washington State.
In Washington State. There's
put a pond in.
Like a tiny little like 5-foot pond.
Okay.
He had like a waterfall in it. Like you could plug it in and water would flow. Because my dad's crazy handy.
Yeah.
And there was a season there where him and Butch just like to have parties in the backyard.
And so they would have the flowing water.
They would have the flowing water. I think I won a goldfish at school at like the cakewalk or something, you know? I won a goldfish at school.
Like a Halloween carnival or something?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I came home from school
with a bag
with a bag of a goldfish. Yeah. And we're like, the pond. Perfect. And it lived in there for a while. And then the pond froze.
Oh no. Poor goldfish. Ooh.
Well, I'm a poor kid.
Yeah.
That's what I said. Like,
I know. Your goldfish froze.
It didn't unthaw for like a couple weeks.
So you just were like on edge.
I just saw the dead frozen fish. We had this frozen pond and just an orange dot.
Because it couldn't like float to the top. Like,
no, it was dead. It was
like a dead goldfish. It
was frozen.
That's so sad.
And we were like, is it going to survive? Will it survive? And no, of course it didn't survive. It froze to death. It was incredible.
What did you name it?
I don't remember because I don't think that whole from start to finish story, I think was less than a month. I think I won it probably somewhere around Halloween.
Halloween in Seattle. That's
and the winter storm came in. And then we had a hermit crab, and I have no idea what happened to that. I remember I remember getting the hermit crab. I remember naming the hermit crab. I've told you this story. This is like a classic younger kid thing where like we were a family of 3 in my house. My dad, me, and my sister. And so we got a hermit crab and we named it. They're like fighting. We were all like, who gets to choose the name? And they're like, I was the youngest. They're like, Dustin, you get to choose the last name. And you're like, well, that's lame because I'm going to say Nickerson. It's a part of our family. My sister named it Hermie, which is not a crazy, amazing name.
There are so many Hermies out there.
I know.
Yep.
That's what Claire was like. If we get a hamster, we're just going to have to name it like Hammy or something like that. Like, that's what everybody names it. It's like, we could name it John Hamm. And she's like, who's that? I was like, it's like a famous actor. And she's like, that's a good name. Well, there you go. But anyways, the Hermie, and then my dad named it Sidewalk for the middle name, which is very funny.
Hermie Sidewalk.
Because they walk sideways. Okay. And then I was like, Nickerson, I guess.
Yeah. It must not have been your gift.
Who knows?
Who knows?
I might have won it at a cakewalk. I was good on that. I had just a cake. I think you won cakes in cakewalks.
Oh, yeah, because you just slide into the chair. Or no, I'm thinking
That's musical
of
chairs.
Musical chairs. Never mind.
I don't know. But I will say that, like, if our kid got sent home with a goldfish, I would transfer schools.
I don't think they give away goldfish like they used to.
No.
Because that's the thing with, like...
How'd they get them? Why do they have all these goldfish?
People now are like, hey, if you commit to a pet, you commit the whole life.
Yeah, and it's good. Like, it's definitely... This is the best life that pets have ever had, and certainly in the modern era with, where we're at. Because even the fact that I looked up... I mean, we're like... I consider us to be pretty reasonable humans, and we're like, does our cat have anxiety?
Well, and that's like... Fritter
cat has abandonment issues.
Fritter got a cut.
Yeah.
A couple years ago. He had like a laceration. Mm-hmm. And I freaked out.
Yeah, you did not handle that really. You handled that worse than you had when I got a cut in my head. Yeah.
That's why I could never get a dog. I could just never... Yeah. That's like, depending on the size of the dog, that's like 100 pounds you're in charge of. Yeah. And I just know I can't deal with that.
Yeah.
Like... It's rewarding and wonderful, but I'm just like, I can't. Like,
It's a lot of work. I don't really understand why, in general, I don't know. It's like, I don't know why a straight woman would ever get a dog, because you're like, if I just need like a smelly, dumb thing that's probably going to die before me, I get that out of a man.
It's true. Yeah, it's good.
Sorry, I'm doing a bit.
I'm overwhelmed by the whole thing.
I'm going to write that down. That's a bit idea. We're not dog people. We've talked about that at length, but...
That's part of your anxiety.
I get really nervous around dogs. You know what? I don't get nervous around them. I don't feel anything towards them.
Yeah, they don't do anything for you.
They do nothing for me. I'm very apathetic about dogs. And that doesn't make me a bad person, because you know what? There's a lot of bad people that love dogs out there. So you're not a good person just because you love dogs.
No, and
you hear that? You're not a good person just because you're not better than people because you love dogs.
Well,
you love dogs. That's great. I'm glad that you love dogs. That's fantastic. I'm very happy for you. I don't love them. I don't feel great around them. I don't like that my hands. I don't like having to go wash my hands after. I don't like that they shed everywhere.
They smell you. That's what I don't like.
Yeah. I don't mind that they're on the planes. It drives me crazy when they bark on the planes, though, because you're like, what's the point of you being here? Yeah. You're supposed to calm that person down. That's the Andrew Rivers bit.
Right.
Who's supporting who here? I'm not anti-dog. I just want that to be very clear. I am anti my cat's peeing on everything right now, but I'm not anti those cats. I just want answers.
I know. And we don't have them.
What do you think is going to happen in the hamster, guinea pig, turtle, fish debate? I feel like you're out on fish and turtle because you have to clean their tanks, and that seems like less work than cleaning the cage.
To clean the cages for the gerbils and the hamsters.
Yeah, the one perk to the turtle is it won't run away.
I know. I think it was Chrissy Teigen. I think their gerbil, or hamster, went in their wall.
Oh no.
Yeah, and then they had to get a guy to start carving holes out of their wall and stuff. I remember this story.
You could not have. I mean, I'm already because here's the thing, what happens when you take them out of the cage, right? Because you want to play with them and to hold them and stuff.
Yeah.
And where do they go? What do they do? I didn't have one.
Bottom line is I don't want a pet. And that's why personally, I'm let's go to the zoo.
Yeah.
Let's just get a zoo membership.
I know. It's just not the same, right? Because they want to touch them.
I don't want a pet. They have a petting zoo at the zoo.
It's true.
I do not want another animal in this house.
I know.
I spent the whole weekend.
But do you want Claire to do her homework?
I spent the whole weekend changing filters, and
there couldn't be
doing all this laundry for the cats, and I'm just I was just please no, nothing more.
There couldn't be a worse time for a child to be asking about a pet, and you know what? That might be
just it. The timing is terrible,
right?
Yeah.
I don't know. And it's, you're do I need to learn how to care for a new thing? All right, backseaters.
I prefer not to.
We're putting this in your hands. So what did you, tell us what to do. Tell us how to fix our cats. Not they're fixed, but the other thing. The peeing thing has become a real issue. Please chime in. We need to hear from you.
I'm going to call the vet.
Yeah.
I just,
please weigh in on the turtle v. fish v. hamster v. guinea pig debate.
Versus. Okay.
Versus, yeah.
V, okay.
Oh my gosh. Batman v Superman? Come on.
I didn't know what you meant when you were saying it.
All right. We have a couple emails we're going to get to, and then we're going to get out of here.
Great.
I sat in my hand for too long. That's fun.
Wow.
Subject, recycling the moon.
Yes.
Hey, Dustin and Melissa. Caroline here. Your commentary about botching phrases and isms sounds just like my brother. I've heard him say, well, just twist my hand instead of twist my arm. And once he was telling a story, he used the word during hand, which makes sense because we have beforehand. That's so funny.
During hand. That's
so why
amazing.
we don't have why don't we have a during hand or after hand? At one point, I had a running list of all the funny things he said, and I'm going to paste that here for your entertainment. I have organized them by appropriate and inappropriate, so you can read the appropriate ones and the inappropriate ones for your own entertainment. You'd have to insert the bleeps, or it might just be too much. Enjoy. Love the pod and appreciate you guys. We'll just do the appropriate ones here. I'm not in tip-top shape for mind power. That's the consistency of my summer. It's densely populated outside, referring to how humid it was. It's like a cupcake made of ice cream. What's it called? A smoothie. That's pretty funny.
That one is way out there.
Yeah.
But I'm sure I could say something like that.
Yeah, pretty funny. More people are letting me know that 100% you are not alone in that.
The first one makes the most sense to me because you start with good intentions and then you just lose it.
Yeah.
Like you lose you just forget.
Yeah, you blank out.
Yeah.
Here's another one. This is called Recycling the Moon, a Malaphor. Dustin and Melissa, I may have to add we're not recycling the moon here into my lexicon. It's perfect. I wanted to tell you that there's a word for combining idioms. It's called Malaphor. Think broken metaphors. It's not rocket science. Yeah. It's not brain surgery. Malaphor. It's not rocket surgery. Oh, some of my favorites are, we'll burn that bridge when we get to it. What goes up stays in Vegas. You open this can of worms, now lay in it. Melissa's not bad at phrases. She's simply a Malaphor master. That's pretty funny. Thought this fun fact would amuse you. Thanks for all you do, Robin. Thanks for the email. That's funny.
Thanks to you and Caroline.
We'll burn that bridge when it gets to it. It's pretty funny.
So good.
Okay.
That sounds just like me.
Yeah, we'll burn that bridge when we get to it. All right, here we go. Last one. Subject, holiday experiences. This is from Jessica. I completely agree with Melissa. The amount of added work and pressures of the holidays is taxing. I've been trying to convince my family for the past few years to do experiences instead of the traditional Thanksgiving and Christmas. I've been marked as a Grinch, but honestly, the kids have birthdays for gifts. Boom. Christmas Day eliminated. You can still enjoy the festivities of Christmas during the season, make cookies, watch Christmas movies, Christmas parties, etc. Then shoot off to an indoor water park or fun destination for Christmas Day. It's a great idea. I like that. Side note, my husband and I do Vegas at least once a year. We've yet to take the kids, but it's on our list. Jabberwockies was one of my favorite twos, and we agree David Copperfield was a disappointment. Matt Franco is where it's at. If you haven't done the Grand Canyon helicopter, do it. Worth all the money for the amazing views versus driving and being stuck in the car all day. That's an interesting thing. Like, that is the way to do the Grand Canyon.
They do have so many helicopters going around Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
So many.
How would you feel in a helicopter? Didn't your fighter pilot dad always say they were unsafe or something? I don't remember.
I guess I'm not specifically sure.
Yeah.
I mean, he took us around in like little planes.
Right.
There for a season.
So how would you feel in that helicopter? Remember when we were in Kauai and they have their canyon, there were some helicopters going through there.
It's a no from me.
Yeah.
I understand like the beauty and the view and stuff.
Yeah.
I just...
Maybe when our kids get older, they'll want to do it or something, I
don't know.
We'll burn that bridge when we get to it.
Exactly.
You could tell I was about to say it.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't. You surprised me.
All right, everybody. Shoot emails at dontmakemecomebackthere@gmail.com. We appreciate you guys so much. Have a great week.
All right, you too. Whatever.
Oh.
Goodbye.
She said you too.
Goodbye.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening. Want to give a special shout out to our As Essential as Oils patrons. That's our $25 a month and up level of patrons. So Rachel Wilson, Trey Turner, Nathan and Jennifer Merritt, Adam Bush, Jennifer Ashley Downs, Juliana Smith, Jordan Cohen, Co to Grow, Courtney Ebling, Lori Amos, Dave Cox, Isaac Teron, Farrah Journey, Bonnie Galiendo, Carrie Teague, Avril Griffiths, Jessica Sewell, Rachel Kennedy, Damarius Diaz-Stevens, Nicole Carraz, and Tiffany Payne. Thank you so much for your support.